Okay, so this is just going to be a very just kind of off the cuff rant, kind of tirade type of thing, and I'm actually very unsure of like what channel this is going to be on. I think it's just going to be on my uh, book review main channel I do for like literature slash like occasional philosophy books and stuff like that. But I'm going to try to kind of caveat this with basically that this is kind of just an amalgamation of different tons of different kind of disparate, not necessarily kind of um, contradictory ideas, but just a lot of different kind of kind of just in the back of my head kind of stuff that's been going for a while. And honestly, like I think people like a part of me is aware of like how stupid ranting is and how it just doesn't get anything done. It's very circuitous, and especially the more I try meditation with my feeble attempts, I've noticed how much I just after that, there's even just getting a glimpse of that, like of just non-duality, and not even in a excuse my squeaky chair. So I tried to actually kind of get somewhat. I tried to look at it, but I don't know what the heck is wrong with it. Anyway, but yeah, so they basically is I've I've had glimpses of like that, and not in like kind of a new age kind of spooky like ooh meditation. You have to have a mantra. You have to do this. I'm not even too big into the transcendental side of it. I have a lot of respect for David Lynch. He seems like a very mindful, like he's kind of practicing what he's preaching, and a lot of this is about non-action. It's about like not, But then there's times where it's like people, great kind of I don't know what you call him, Muji Baba. I don't know what I think he's. He gives satsang or wisdom, but that's kind of a part of what he originally still does. But he's a Jamaican spiritual teacher, and he says that there's he was talking about giving like an opinion on George Floyd when this happened like so like freaking 4 years back now. He was just talking like he was giving his opinion, but he was mindful about it, and he was like aware of the contradictory kind of nature of giving it, and he was like, oh, that was wrong. He was saying it was wrong, like he was saying a prescriptive thing that it was wrong how the cop handled that, and he was able to say that and say, oh, that's awful. So I'm trying to get into that. Me as a um person who is like has all these different kind of desires and inclinations and all these different kind of semi seeds. I say semi seeds because they're not like fully, so they're not even sowed yet, but just like all these different seeds and stuff I have of like one part of me wants to just kind of do the meditation thing, like just meditation retreat, go to India, go to Nepal, and practice and just really get into that kind of non-duality self is a delusion. um but and then another part of me wants to just be a musician and just kind of just do that, and I've been doing that. I have been making music for over 10 years now. I want to say like on and off since I was 15, 16. So it's been a little while. I'm 28 now, and I'll be 29 in a few months. So yeah, it's very hectic ride of stuff that I thought I was going to do when I was 19, where I was like, man, I'm just not going to do this. I'm going to be in this place when I'm different. And then me looking at my back now, it's like I haven't necessarily moved out of this tiny little rural area in Pennsylvania, and I haven't I haven't really got hit the world. I mean, I have traveled, but it's all in short bursts. I'm the master of like short, ephemeral little bursts of stuff to test things out, and then never actually fulfilling on them 100%. I'm like I will see things out to like just a T, just to kind of get a simple like, oh, maybe I want to move over to Portland, but then I test it out. Oh, 1 week over there, just kind of test it out. Nice little area, nice coastal area. The mountain's beautiful. Mount I didn't get to go to Mount St. Helens because of the wildfires there, but I did get to go to Mount Rainier. I think it's Mount Rainier, and yeah, I didn't. Obviously, I'm not a um, experienced hiker in that sense. I'm not, so I wasn't used to the terrain, but I did, get, just kind of have more of an enjoyable kind of day long kind of wanderings around. So yeah, it was a kind of a blessing in disguise. It wasn't the way I thought it would go. I thought it would be spending more time in the city, but then there was all this kind of wildfire smoke that was kind of there, and this was like 2020, I believe. So yeah, kind of not the best time to go there. But yeah, like I said, it's like I go there and it's like I'll feel out the place a little bit, and then I'll like, oh well, this is like kind of nice, and then I'll like never fully go on it. I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna plant that in the back of my head, and I'm like, oh, maybe Portland's like the way to go because so many musicians that I inspire. Elliott Smith is from there, one of my favorite, people ever, like, and it's just, but there were different times, and I'm not keeping that in mind, I guess, and it's just like places. It's not the place themselves. It's not like this place has this hub of this is where it's got to be made. I mean, there's people from up in my neck of the woods, like in Pittsburgh. That's kind of where my, even that's like a good almost hour away from me. Um, and the traffic getting in there can be pretty hectic. But it is a good place that I'm trying to get into, and it's like do back into the short burst stuff where I'm like, I'll go back to playing open mics in Pittsburgh, see if I can cultivate an audience that recognizes me, try out stage type things after I get more comfortable, because it's like it has been almost a decade since I did my very first open mic, so it's not like I'm completely. It's more so that I've done scattered amounts. Like I did it like a lot of open mics when I was like in 2017, I think. It was like a lot of different open mics there, and because I had I don't know, it was just something I got used to doing, every couple weeks or so, just going out there and throughout most summer, spring, or whatever, fall 2017. But now, since the place that I got so used to going to literally closed down, because like one of the owners I think died, I think, so pretty sad, but I can't go back. It's like it's so I had to kind of find new places, and that's kind of what I've been doing in this year, so throughout 2024. And I know I'm trying to not get in this kind of mindset of like another thing I just noticed too. I was just like, hey, like, oh, like my hair is growing out. I am the most like mammothly, profoundly unprofessional person ever. Like I am not good. I think it's clear that there's a difference between me and some people, where for them it's like they won't be seen on camera unless they shower and have all that stuff. I'm not one of those people. I am unprofessional. I'm an unprofessional person. I have no qualifications. I didn't go to college. Went to high school, obviously. Took some college courses, extra credit type stuff, really, during high school, because I kind of had a kind of change of personality, I guess, or a change of attitude rather. When I hit high school, I just suddenly started caring a lot more and was like more diligent and like completing stuff on time. So I ended up getting a dual enrollment type of thing. So I ended up adding that to that. So it was like kind of interesting going to community college. Um, but yeah, that's like something. I'm just saying that some people are like, oh well, it's good that you don't have a like a huge degree or whatever. Like you're not like it's great. It's like it's great that you're not like have you're burdened with all this debt, and like in a way, yes, but also I find it like really uh also it's a double-edged sword, because it's like it would be really nice to be able to do all the things and have some kind of certificate for it. So that's why I'm thinking about teaching English overseas, and I'm thinking about doing that. Not because I necessarily trust the TFEFL, or like that they're going to be the greatest company that I ever work for all I know, they could screw me over. I don't know, but like I just know that's untested territory. I'm going to try to kind of do that, but in order to do that, I'm going to have to put away all the stuff I love doing. I'm going to have to put away playing music and stuff, like like you know, composing stuff on keyboard over there. Yeah, and I figured I just wouldn't want to really do this, because that is basically my camera there is basically it's gonna have to. But I'm gonna try to keep on my feet so I don't know, this chair's not most comfortable. But yeah, I have I could have even gone as far as to turn my mic on, but I just didn't feel like doing that. Um, Although I probably should get another like fix, definitely another, what's this called, something shield, um, sound kind of dampening kind of thing. But I would love to get like a modification for this, because I remember getting this because it's like a Rode, NT on A. It looks like one, but it's actually, and it is like that's the body of it. But I gave it to a mic modification place that can't remember where they're from. I knew I had to ship it, so it was kind of a little out of the way. Definitely out of state. And yeah, he basically just did a bunch of different tweakings on this. This was like 9 years ago. This was like 2015, 2016. So yeah, this was when I kind of first bought the mic, like almost, I guess when it was like 2014, I started taking, like, I started like, oh, I gotta kind of up my gear, and I did all this stuff to my room, and yeah, so, but it is like this weird thing where, um, and again with like the whole camera thing, like I could have set it up, but then I would have to kind of be in frame, and I'm just kind of lazy right now. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I am lazy. I'm just gonna do it that way. So, yeah. And yeah. So yeah, I kind of got this whole thing with like I have like countless different seeds of different things I could imagine myself doing. Like I imagine myself doing I don't know, even like stupid stuff like improv comedy. Like I'm not gonna say I'm not even gonna argue or try to argue that I would even be uh, fruitful at that whatsoever, or But I think it's a good way of kind of getting out of my shell or anybody's shell, and just kind of being able to kind of quirk or quip off people better. I guess not just to get like a better at like being a roast master, like ooh coming up with clever stuff, but more so just I'm more character driven. I think a lot of the stuff I like is like like really just ridiculous stuff. Some of it like just Tim and Eric kind of stuff, but like a lot of characters where there's like a character being put on there, like kind of put on like on trial, I guess, in a sense. Like there's just a lot of um a lot of different, like you have to kind of put up with all the kind of quirks and all the kind of foibles of these like people, or just like very just modern comedy, like kind of post-ironic stuff where it's just like the joke, and it's very hard for you to separate the joke from the actual person making the joke, so like they're kind of intertwined in a kind of Ouroboros, like kind of self-eating snake, snake eating its own tail kind of self-referentiality. And so yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I find funny. Like Shrek is really good at that kind of stuff. Idubbb's not so much anymore. I just think he's like a little bit just kind of, I don't know. I used to watch his stuff like when I was probably like 2016, 2017 or something, but I just kind of fell out of favor maybe last few years, just because he kind of switched his stuff to all of a sudden like creator clash boxing stuff, and I'm just not really into that. I just don't find it funny. I don't find it, just the very fact, just by the very nature of just bringing two people that seem like, oh, this would be a funny thing in theory, and then bringing them together doesn't really seem like it works out. But yeah, or stuff that's where it's really hard, extra hard to like find out where the joke even begins, if it has any beginning, or if it ends, where like the bit or the act or whatever. With like Dax Flame, I find that so funny because it's like so much of himself seems authentic. Like he's just like putting on this like kind of a like I'm just trying to get this new thing. I'm trying to make not lie to my audios my audience members on YouTube. Like I love my fans, and I'm trying to do all this stuff, but then the way he goes about it is just very stilted and just weird, and like I'm one to talk, but it's like it's just really funny because he's like, I'm not sure how much of that's like a genuine like, oh, Dax Flame is actually like that, or if it's like a Nathan For You thing, where I think with Nathan For You, I think there's more of a Nathan For You is like more comfortable, I think, going in more like overtly offensive stuff, like even to the point of probably the funniest one I probably think is the sex of well, like these things that like the robots sex offender arm thing. It's it's so stupid. Like it's just like going for his crotch. It's gonna like pull on his pants at the last second. He has to like do some David Blaine maneuver shit, and he's like in front of a bunch of kids, and that's like the worst part. It's just like, um, but that's kind of. But that's why I'm like so hesitant about comedy, or like even talking about it, because I think in order to, I don't know, in order to get acquainted with it, I have to kind of, a big part of it is just being open to the actual experience itself, like being open to collaboration or whatever. Or this same goes for like music too, or writing. Even writing's probably like the least collaborative. I know that sounds like maybe I'm making a huge blanket statement that's not gonna, it might come back to haunt me, but it is a thing that I think is, I keep going back to, is like writing's the most easiest thing for me, and it's also one of the hardest, because it's like when I go down to it, this is why my writing channel, there is a draft of stuff that I would very much like to get to sometime this century. I don't know if you can actually see that or not, but like this is all so ridiculously stuff about doom scrolling, or a lot of it's like rants, or in the kind of, and not even in a kind of thoughtful, incisive way, like Blaise Pascal's The Pensies, or Michel Montaigne, with his his what are they called, the list of essays, that he has. I've yet to actually have read the whole thing, but it's like some of these stuff. There's like some of it's literally just, and I hate that word as much as you guys. So, but it is like a lot of it is genuinely just. I farted out something in my mind that I can't get rid of, that I can't really make sense of. So I just kind of, my mentality is just to write it down no matter what. And yeah, that's kind of my thing. It's like, I don't know. Some of it's like, and then I'll, try to kind of make a thing where it's like something stupid will come up, like in my head, and then I'll be like literally, like I wrote down like wizards with guns, like, or something, because I thought it would sound like a stupid idea and my kind of thing, and then it turned out that's actually the name of a channel, and it's something that has like some pretty funny videos, I think, from what I've seen. But yeah, so like one of those, that's why I'm trying to be careful about the stuff that I write down, just double checking. But yeah, and then some of it's like interwoven with song lyrics. Yeah, because it's like I think going between these different mediums, and I think a part of us, all of us, share kind of a, I don't know, I guess, I may feel unique and indistinguishable, or rather, distinct from other people to an extent. I'm like, wow, all my inner kind of monologues and all my quirks and all my different eccentricities and stuff are just kind of peculiarly unique to me, and nobody else can really get that. But then I realize that a lot of the stuff I'm riffing off of is like cultural kind of stuff that's of the cultural norm too. Like, it's just stuff that it could be like some some of the more kind of cross-cultural stuff, where you'll see stuff of like people that are genuine intellectuals, like Sam Harris, like interview somebody like across the aisle of destiny. I've yet to actually listen to the whole thing, but then again, I'm not gonna like push myself. I'm not like huge on Destiny's, the way he debates and everything. I think a lot of the time he kind of elevates things, but then this is me just like making another thing of like ranting about like some other person that like I don't know anything about, and it's like gonna be a thing where it's like, oh, well, then there's something about this, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, and I'm like, really, in actuality, all I want to do is sit in my room and and just make music, and like I don't want to get good at debating even. Like, I think it's good to debate. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm thinking, but when it comes down to, it's not even like the Ben Shapiro kind of cartoonishly kind of thing. It's like, like, facts don't care about your feelings. It's like, of course, like, it's like so stupid. Like, I can think of a million ways to deconstruct that just there. Like, I can make another video talking about him trashing John Lennon's Imagine, because of how, it's not even good music. It's not even real music. It's just like, it's like, he plays the piano like this. He's like, it's like, I don't know how to play it. It's like a. It's been years since I've actually played those ones, but it's like, that's actually not like a. It's a plagal cadence, major fourth, resolving. Anyway, but yeah, so I could make a separate video on that, but I won't, because I don't know. I feel like it's been done by people who are much better at doing stuff. Like, off the top of my head, I think the Authentic Observer, I think, does videos like that, where she, just kind of takes people like different things, like Pick-Me Girls and, Pygmy Girls? Did you say, like, Pygmy? I don't know anything about Pygmy Girls. Pick-Me Girls. I'm Pick-Me Girl. See, this is why I'm never going to be good at improv, like, doing comedy stuff, because the stuff I think about is, like, always, like, delayed, and it's, like, and then I could lean into that awkwardness, and I'm like, ooh, see, this is me thinking way too much about it in the box, outside the box, whatever. I don't know. It's, like, now I'm getting comfortable. Ooh, now all of a sudden I'm less, what's the word? This is so stupid. Like, I'm aware of the stuff on YouTube. I'm aware of all the dross and the crap, and I want to get on it. I want to get on that stuff. I want to be like, this person's fake, this person's inauthentic. But I just feel like think that. I don't know, whatever. It's like whatever. Who cares? Either one. It's like hand in hand, I guess, because it's like once I kind of feel a certain way about something and like think, but like I'll use those interchangeably, so it's like it doesn't really matter. Anyway, but yeah, I'm looking like a boomer here with my head taking up half, only one quarter of the frame, but we're not in film school. We're not editing here. By the way, I have a short film. This is something I should be doing in different, like the real thing is that I should be spending my time, and more importantly, editing stuff, like editing this short film that I'm trying to work on. I've just been putting it off, thinking it's only natural for me to put that off, because I'm also trying to put off another thing, like that's like my short story called The Sick Man that it's like really close to getting done, and yeah, in that I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm not gonna lie, that maybe this could be a thing where this is gonna be the story that might tickle people and get their attention, and maybe this is the story that when I put it out on Substack or Medium or my just kind of my old blog that I made when I was like 20, 21, this is gonna be the thing that people are gonna just like listen, read, all of a sudden like and read if I put it out there in the right way, I guess, or get kind of if I but I don't want to get into the kind of thing where it's like pay an extra fee and then your stuff will just get put out there more, because I feel like that's, I don't know, it's like something where it's like I'm fine being a secret, but I'm also would like people to hear me a little bit, just enough, just to kind of just to get a little traction, so I can kind of move to different things and be able to, oh well, maybe if I didn't get that thing where it's like think about bands that you love, like I don't know, Radiohead is my favorite band. Off the top of my head, it's like, although there's a lot of contenders out there, Steven Wilson stuff, Porcupine Tree, among other things, and more so when I was younger, but Nine Inch Nails was on there for a little while, but they kind of, a lot of their stuff is a little bit too one-tone for me, like it's a little bit too nihilistic, just one note of just, not literally one note, but just like one kind of, hue or color, or lack of color rather, of just kind of just grayness and like this. It would be nice to hear like variation. This is why Radiohead I like a lot, because there's a fair amount of it, a lot more of experimentation, but it's not experimentation that's going up on its own, but with stuff that doesn't make any sense, or like very modernist kind of what's the word, the one Penderecki, like for example, like Johnny Greenwood's like a big, fan of that kind of music, and minimalism too. So it's like minimalism, like Arvo Parta, I think his name is pronounced Arvo Parta, who I love. I've got to listen to more of his stuff. But yeah, if you hear like the Cantus of Benjamin Britten, it's like a very beautiful. It's like has this. I would play it here, but I don't know if my speakers actually work anymore. Another thing I got to get to. So like I'm very just bad at getting new things. I'm even this keyboard that I got, one that didn't have, stuff spilled in it, water spilled in it or whatever. Even that like took me a while to get, and I'm always kind of clenching my pearls like 1 second, then I'll spend again the short burst thing. It's like I'll go out and work a full-time job and stuff, but it will be in a short burst where I'll be like inevitably I'll get like either fired for not being quick enough if it's like something in the restaurant stuff, or it's like things where like it kind of, or I'll be kind of left off the hook, kind of waiting for people, kind of just like putting me on recycle or whatever, and then now I'm cleaning, and cleaning is like a lot like easier to kind of just tune out and like be able to kind of listen to music or like books and stuff, and finally get through that stuff. And like once I make peace with that, and like, but then there's that time where I'm like, damn it, I'm here cleaning, and I hate this so much. Like I wish I was just like at home playing piano and just like finishing this like piece I have in my head. I'll think of something where I'm like, ooh, like I want to finish that one song that has these strange chords, and that's why I have this other folder open. Like even me just getting a new thing of Microsoft Word, because like the Microsoft Word I had was a pirated version that from the years back that ended up not, that kind of ended up failing to activate, so I ended up just like just buying the new one. So it's like, okay, so new this, and I'm always allowing these things. So it's like I have $600 in my bank account, which is like decent, I think, maybe 700, but yeah. And again, going back to the whole earning off YouTube or social media or anything like that. Yes, I have. I have published. And another reason why I don't want to actually put this on my music channel is because so much of my stuff is just going to be very, very impromptu piano playing sessions. And then me kind of exporting that onto YouTube just so I can get it out there. I've just made a habit of doing that, and I know it's not like the best quality content, literally on account of just the sound quality coming from my phone, but I also don't want to make any more of an effort on things that I want to be, because like the second I take out a camera, the second I get something else, the magic's lost, I guess. And I think that there is something, genuine about just sitting down and letting the piano, like letting that take over in a way, but also having the framework to do that. So like I know that improv is like a big thing for me, but it's like it's took me a long time, like at least like 4 years, maybe not four, but like at least a couple years of like playing the piano to like get to the point where I'm like sit down and be able to do that. Some people have different, they start at 6. I started like literally like 16, 17 with the piano, and it's like I had started guitar like a year or two earlier, I think. And yeah, it's like basically yeah, piano is like its own thing, and it's like everything's like very, it's like, C chord, there's a D minor, G minor, mains, and like it's all laid out, all 12 tones. Whereas with guitar, you have to do some fretting, you have to do some various things. Like here, it's actually surprisingly in tune. But yeah, it's like like this. So yeah, it's like guitar is like only because I've been picking. I listened to probably Simon and Garfunkel first and foremost. So I started getting really used to just just stuff like that, where it's like Scarborough Fair was like. That picking pattern I learned when I was like maybe 16, and after getting through that and like learning the boxer too, like the boxer goes like, so the boxer goes like it's like tuned to full or half step down, I think, which is why I've haven't done a cover of it yet, because I feel like it's like something that's like I've heard so many times in a good way. It's like it's a classic. Story self-employed by the mountains with a pocket full of women, soldier promises, all lies and chance, with a man, and here's what he wants to hear. And then he does Paul Simon kind of classic. Right. Like he has this classic kind of walk down turn. But yeah, so like that. La 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 la. It's actually harmony, but yeah, that's a old one. That's like a old one that I had on my roster to want to learn. Actually, I have some more ideas. But I just don't know. Like, and I know this video is gonna look like it's like I'm just kind of bragging about all the crap throughout my life that I've done halfway, like like I've learned guitar just enough to kind of get around. But I think not just trying to prepare to compare myself to auteurs in any way, like, but I'd like to think of myself as more as a director's role, conceptually at least, where I'm like thinking, like, even before I the idea is fully formed sometimes, of like, do I want to make this a song lyric or for a song, or do I want to make it a part of a short story, or just to kind of cram into my novel, or do I want to make it kind of a sketch or something? That's like the last kind of thing. That's like the least, I feel the least confident in, like, filming stuff, because it's like, that takes like good lighting, and like that's like even just getting that ring light for me, just like, that was like after people had pointed out and being like, hey, you look like you're in a dark, dingy place, and I am in a dark room. It's like there's nothing really, I don't know. This room is like has this cheap kind of carpeting that and like yeah, it's like it looks like kind of still like a boys' room because it is kind of but yeah, so it's like I'm aware of all these different things, but I'm also kind of like the main thing that I'm fixated on is just like creating stuff. It's just I'm not trying to like, oh, I'm the most creative person. I'm so creative, but it's like that is the main thing, and as if I get to that today, I will be happy. So but yeah, it's like all these different things I have lined up for me to do in theory, where I'm like, I'd love to, yeah, collaborate, with other musicians and like actually find something, but it's like it's just been hard for me because it's like for me to kind of working nights 5 to 8:30 ish, but usually it takes till 9 at least. So it's basically that kind of every night kind of thing, 5 days a night. It's hard because it's like if I want to do something on Thursday night or Wednesday night for an open mic, it's gonna have to be I've got to go into work early, and I'm gonna have to figure out if I can negotiate with them. And usually they're cool with it. The people who are in the company are really nice. That's one plus, and they're not like on my butt about stuff. Like people on at like the one restaurant I worked at was just like very big, and I'm just not gonna name it, but it was basically it was just a franchise restaurant, kind of fast casual kind of thing where it's like had a little stint there. And I felt really just awkward at first because I was like, this was something I was doing when I was literally, again, that word, I'm sorry. I'm just so I think I'm a millennial, yeah, 96. So I think I'm a millennial, just on the cutoff of Gen Z. Not that it makes a difference, really, but whatever. Every generation has their things to, whatever, their qualms and stuff. Where was I? Oh, yeah, but yeah, the working this thing, it was just kind of awkward because I had to, like do something that I was doing when I was like 7, when I started out 16, 17 in the working industry, like getting a resume, doing this stuff, like just doing the really, run of the mill, like starting prep of stuff, like, tying meat up, weighing little pocket things of meat and like putting those things and, or, making fruit cups, making sure it's the right thing, has the right ratio of whatever, and just stuff like that I'm not good at. I'm not really good at like repetition and stuff. I'm just not good at doing stuff the same thing over and over and over again. And then people will be like, "Well, you're just a highly creative person. Just find a highly creative job. Just find a job there." It's like you realize like it's not as easy as just like, "Oh, well, I can just be a full-time content creator." Because I've tried that, and I'm not trying to say it's like, "Oh, it's you guys' fault because you're not writing my videos, and you're not tipping me on Ko-fi, or you're not following me on Patreon." Even though I haven't posted on Patreon in like a year, because I actually feel it's like kind of I don't like agree with it. And I feel kind of hypocritical because I don't follow people on Patreon either. I don't like engage with that kind of thing, or I used to when I had money, when I was working an actual job at carpenter and I was making $30 at least an hour, guaranteed wage. That was I went to the whole carpentry school, like got the whole thing figured out, the journeyman's card, and I have no pride in that job at all. I have no pride for the people I worked with. Some of the people were cool. Some of the people were nice to me, helped me out, really just understanding and treated me with respect. But other people, like, they're just talking about eating ass all the time, or going to the bar, or going to the strip club, or taking me to the strip club with them. And even though I would rather, I don't know. But it's like, but that was the main job. That was the only job I had. It was like the semi-professional, but like also like very high paying, but also very kind of dumb stuff. It's just dumb dross. Building scaffold, like people, even they said it, like monkeys know how to do that. Like, monkeys know how to do that. You should learn how to build house, like frame a house, do metal framing, metal studs. But then if you're not quick enough, if you're not just naturally on the ball and just like, woo, like, super quick at like hanging drywall, which I hate because some of those jobs, like, you'd think, so I'm not a big guy, clearly I'm not like a, super naturally kind of, I'm built kind of naturally skinny. My metabolism's like high or whatever. But then there's other people that were shorter than me, smaller than me, who had awful diets and stuff, like just really short, like for instance, maybe I don't know, maybe they, I don't know, at one point their lives were addicts or whatever, and they kind of lost a lot of weight because of it. I'm not trying to judge, it's just kind of what I kind of garnered from a lot of the people I work with. And yeah, so after doing that, it's like, I don't know, like bringing up these memories necessarily at all. Because they're not pleasant memories, I don't know. I don't think I have many pleasant memories of these jobs. But yeah, it's like, um, where was I? He was talking about, okay, so these guys, some of these guys were like really just thin, but they would go at hanging like super heavy, I don't know, 80 pounds, like my, kind of gauging at, weights and things like, that's why I'm such a shitty carpenter, because I can't really think in those terms naturally. Like I'm at odds with reality. I'm at odds with how things, I don't know, how things are tangibly, I'm way more just kind of a poetic kind of like, again, not to shoot my own horn, because this is actually an awful thing if what you're trying to do is like, it's like, it's not, it's an awful thing if you don't kind of have a Jungian kind of, as in Carl Jungian kind of area of individuation where you come into terms with your personality and you're like, okay, I am this kind of person. My personality is of, I don't know, more intuition, like he says in the psychological types. Not to tout everything he says, and that is true, but it's like, if my thing is intuition, that's majorly just like, that's the main thing. And Big Five, that shows it more as like openness. So I'm super high in openness, very high. It's just way high for my own good, because like it actually can be exhausting not finding people that are interested in talking about the same things you are. And this is one of the few things Jordan Peterson had a good take on, although he kind of threw away kind of Jung's kind of things on the Myers Briggs. I think he said something like it belongs in the dustbin or something. But I think on the Big Five, at least he had some interesting things he said. But then I got kind of sick of listening to his stuff, and um, I'd like to kind of one of these days make a video, but I'm not sure if I can really make one that kind of is able to rival or says anything new about him, because that's all I'm about. I'm all about saying something new and inventive about something, all the time. But no, I think, yeah, like I have a thing um with openness where it's like super, it can be kind of alienating, because I'm so, it's like, this just doesn't turn off, And I'm not trying to say I'm anything like Elon Musk at all, like any of his kind of, his kind of quirky eccentricities and flamboyant, not kind of nature of just kind of being like, oh, I'm always on, and my mind is a storm. Like, it's just like, okay. Um, I like to add some variation to the thoughts I have, and it's not all my thoughts are just super, like, oh, I'm so ingenious, but like I'm trying to add, different flavors to these thoughts, where it's like these kind of things arise in me, where I'm like thinking about, like, oh man, this is very beautiful. It's not just sunsets or stuff like that, but it's like certain evoke it can be a Proustian feeling, or kind of memory of like the Madeleine, like that. It could be a thing of like seeing something that I saw in the like early 2000s, late 90s childhood of mine, where I'm like all of a sudden I'm just like, or I drive past my old school or something, where at the Ringgold or whatever school, whatever. I would just give it where I gave my local school district. Anyway, but I don't care. But anyway, but just don't spread it around, like, thoughtlessly or whatever. But yeah, it's like looking at that will like bring me back to a, but like more heightened. I feel like it's more heightened, like where I'll just feel like these like very just like intense kind of like callback moments of like, not just nostalgia, not just like liminal spaces and stuff, but yeah, just things like that of like an exact like snippet of what the feeling I had then, or like what I'm feeling now, kind of interconnected to that. I'm not sure. A lot of these things are universal things. I feel like that's what I'm trying to talk about too. Is like, this stuff I'm feeling makes me feel really, really kind of alone, but like also very interconnected, because there's other people that have these to varying degrees, and that's what I like. And my voice is kind of hoarse because I'm trying to. Anyway, but yeah, there's like another thing too is like, I think one of the reasons why, if the thing I'm kind of tacitly looking for is like followers, or for people to kind of look into my stuff, I feel like a lot people genuinely, or generally rather, like tension and drama to be created. So like I think a lot of these things are like, ooh, like the drama happening of like, this, ooh, did you hear about like what happened to, I don't know, like this content creator, ooh, they got arrested, or this person turned out to be a creepy pedophile, and this stuff. I think people love hearing about that stuff. They click on it right away. I do too, like a part of me, and then I'll get sick of it pretty easily, and I'll try to get it kind of jettison it out of my whole kind of I guess, like reality to the best of my degree, as hard as it is to actually ignore all these things. But I would so love to just, you know, like if there was a world where it's like you didn't have to look at all this stuff, because it's like it is really hard. There's videos that, and it's not even, it's just stuff like oh, Boogie 2449 or whatever, like him, just really depressing stuff. Where I saw some of the documentary or whatever, The Dark Life or whatever, when it came out, and I just like, I get it. People look at that and they're like, ooh, they feel better about themselves. I get it. You feel better because you're seeing this guy that's really just obtusely, cartoonishly, kind of an exception to every rule that you think there is. Like, he's like, not only is he super obese, he's also really just like awkward and autistic. And he has autism, or he says he has autism, or he has this, or like he's also really just has no, like, he hires escorts, or he does this or that, or he dates someone who's like a lot younger than him who could be his daughter. Ooh, it's like, we get it. Like, it's just, he's everything that like we strive not to be. The shadow side again, to bring up Jung again. But yeah, he's this kind of, but I think it's also caustic because of like because we're disgusted by that side of ourselves where we're like, oh, this is so, like, why are we, because it's like the drama of it, the juicy kind of drama of it. People love to just eat that up. But yeah, I just don't. For me, I never got the whole thing about watching that, like the whole 7 hour to 8 hour documentaries on these people, like Nikocado Avocado. Like, we get it. There's, what is there else to be said? But this culture, sorry, this culture is so fixated on like cringe aspects of things, where like, oh, this person's so cringy. I'm really sick of it. Like, it's like cringe is just a very universal feeling everybody has. It's like, it's just embarrassment. It's just it's like the ability in some self-awareness. It's not even empathy. It's like sympathy, I guess. It's like pity. We all have it. Like, we all have like, ooh, I feel cringe on account of that person. I'm guilty of watching videos or like stuff like that, taking pictures, snapping Shrek with my cringe compilation. Either or. I'm aware of these things, but I'm also just sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm just so sick of everybody talking about cringe this, cringe that. Look how cringy this guy is. Isn't that totally cringy? And because the internet, because the information age, you're not, the only thing is that you're seeing things that are replicated out there that are only the ugly moments. Like, you're only seeing, I'm not trying to make a big sweeping statement about anything. Like, I've also found my type of cringe is like the more nuanced kind of things of like, meditation helped me with this, and mindfulness, and this new age kind of way of saying, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about too, this kind of attitude of like, I know something that you guys don't, because I've taken meditation, or I've meditated, and I've seen beyond the illusion, and you guys don't actually see any of that. And I'm like, those videos are so easily replicatable, and that's not the main reason I hate them. The main reason is because the people kind of sound full of themselves in a way that I can't articulate. And it's this thing. It's an endemic. It's like for these people that think they're like, some of them are a little bit goofier than others. Some people are like, oh my god, I just found out that my, like something in my aura, I just felt like something in my workplace was just like, I felt like, something like the total manifestation, like I was just manifesting stuff so hard. And you're like, do you know what you're talking, like, what are you talking about? Like, these people are so stuck in this, like, I'm not trying to say that there's, in a postmodern world, it's very hard to gauge and just say, like, that is just valuably wrong. That is a normative statement of ethics, like, that is just dumb, or that person's wrong, because using maybe Ken Wilber's thing to a degree of integral theory, some of that stuff might be, actually kind of doable in a way, but you have to kind of back it up with other things. So I'm seeing things from like a hyper, ooh, I'm so special. Ooh. No, I'm seeing things from just a kind of different kind of multi-dimensional way of thinking, I guess. And I'm, probably gonna cringe at myself later for saying this because this is all so cringe. Everything goes back to cringe. The cringe demon is the ruler, sits inside of us all. Um, but yeah, and so basically, it's this thing where people have acted as if they've transcended something, where they're like, oh, I used to have this toxic relationship, and then I got out of it, and then I was like, whoa. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody, or don't, I don't want to be a harbinger of like bad, of like, negative energy towards them, to use a kind of new age word. But yeah, it's this thing of like vibrations or this or that, or Reiki. I'm a Reiki person now. I do Reiki sessions with people, or I do this. And it's like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand what the appeal of it is, because for me, it's always just seemed very kind of willy-nilly, nebulous, very like cloudy, ab- not abstruse, purposefully obfuscating. That's the thing, because there can be good kind of philosophy that's very, very dense, like Immanuel Kant, and it's like tempting to say he's cloudy, but he's not. He's actually quite clear what he's saying. He just takes a while to get there. It just, it's like, I think I haven't read his full thing yet, but but with them, it's like it takes them. There's nothing in what they're saying. There's just like some of it boils down to a simple, and I'm guilty of like dancing around words and stuff like that too. But like, I'm trying to get better at that, I swear. But like I just like it took me 45 minutes just to get to the point of what I'm talking about. And I'm not even at the point yet. But hey, some of these videos are just kind of inevitable. Like I've got to make a hour-long rant type thing to get it all out. And I think so. What people are doing is like they're getting at something where they'll say something like, I will save you. Some of the titles of their videos will be like, watch this. I will save you from, and like years of, what's the word that they use? I can't remember. It's like, I'll save you from years and years of heartbreak and failure or something. It's just like, and then you watch their stuff and it's like, they're just kind of like, the truth is not always easy. Like they're just saying very simple, very basic, borderline baseline boilerplate stuff. It's just so reductive. It's so easy to just like it can't be like, and then like, ooh, but that's the point. It's supposed to be easy. The truth is like it's like a very easy to say, but it's very hard to live by. And I get that. I get that it's actually hard to escape shibboleths and maxims or pithy little phrases that. Like no man is an island, like it's hard to escape that kind of thing. But at the same time, at least those things have substance when you look down to them, or if you look at them, or if you actually investigate clearly. But like these people seem to advocate for like a total lack of like critical analysis on anything. They're just like, just wooey wooey, new age, just follow your bliss. No, that's actually Joseph Campbell. I don't want to denigrate him too much because I actually some of his stuff like definitely is dated. I mean, he died what, late 80s, early 90s, so like it's definitely dated and it's definitely very conjectural and very wooey too. The hero's journey is just I really hate things that are, I don't know, not structure of it. It's like I love the Charlie Kaufman kind of hero's journey where it's like the hero is like almost completely unlikable. There's no called rise to action. There's no some of the whole film will be like like nothing happening with Synecdoche, New York. That's why it's my favorite movie, because it's like it just doesn't like it doesn't pull punches of like what of like showing realism, but like also through the lens. That's why it's so brilliant. But like I love that kind of story, the story that's like about stories, or it's like meta, but in a way that's also aware of trying to be sincerely. That's why sincerity is something I'm trying to get back at, and why cringe and why all this stuff it's like I hate so much is like I'm trying to get back at a authentically. But then again, maybe people saying all this stuff, like this stuff, and super ironically are saying it through the medium of at the end of the day, sincerity too. Like they're authentic about that too. Like they're authentic about their inauthenticity, I guess. And it's like, ooh, that's a very postmodern thing too. But I think I want to get further than that, which is like, well, I wish I could, just not care too much about like that kind of stuff. But where was I going? I was talking about that. But yeah, that's why the hero's journey is just way too reductive for me. It's like it's just a little too, not blasé, but like a little bit too, like, begging the question of like, how does the hero, like, how does it, like, where, like, it only makes sense in like one context, like it only makes sense, like, it's like kind of, I think everybody, that's why I still have a lot of people in my own kind of friends group, that I grew up with, that still talk in this way of like, I'm not trying to, like, because they don't know any better, nobody, only you know what you know, kind of thing. It's like you don't know what you don't know. They're kind of, you know pithy saying, but that works, kind of. But he or they or whatever. So a lot of them still talk in this way of like, going on Facebook, and I don't use Facebook anymore. I use it for like just uploading the occasional kind of burst of things of places I've been or whatever that I find interesting, or like a little self promotion shamelessly of just my own content as well every now and then. But even that, it's like just getting on there just for a bit. It's like hard not to get kind of taken away by people I've grown up with, that who still have not ever changed, and like using Facebook as this vehicle output, like this little kind of place for like emotional outpouring of just, this very vague, tenuous, grasping, like hard to grasp kind of indiscernible stuff of like, like something about respect for people, or people, like, it's just, I've, like, that's why it's like I'm cutting out all the people in my life, and I'm really gonna change this time, and then they just like do the same thing again and again and again. This is why I like Tim and Eric so much, because it's like he goes into that whole the on cinema thing too. It's like you hear similar things on that kind of thing, where the timeline is just every single new Oscar special is Tim, the main character, Tim Heidecker, is going to change, and he's going to change for the good, or he's gonna find a new role model like Giamatti, or he's gonna like Dr. Sand before he passed away, or these are all massive inside jokes, but whatever. Well, maybe not too much. I think he's kind of getting a little bit more or exposure now, I think. But yeah, it's like the whole thing with like he keeps like making these huge, like, dramatic, elaborate promises to everybody, like he's gonna change every Oscar special, but then he like starts berating everybody and like succumbing to an alcohol addiction, and or like basically, yeah, there's like, they think of like new, like, really just kind of cartoonish, um ridiculous ways of like making it go completely like out of completely like calamity abounding. Yeah, it's hilarious. But anyway, but yeah, these people, I just think on like Facebook did this thing of like, my friends and stuff, uh and it's hard for me to kind of like connect with them, because like they're so like kind of inculcated in their ways. It's really hard for me to articulate now. But yeah, they are very just kind of just like, oh, like, man, I've got out of this relationship that's really toxic, and I'm just gonna start living my truth, and it just turns out like they're just doing the same thing they were doing, and they just like fall back into it, and then they get like really intense, and like, ooh, man, like, you're the only one who respects me, like, you're the only one who, man, like, you guys are, and, or like, I don't know what I'm trying to get at exactly. It's like this thing of like they've been kind of cycling a circuitous, you know circle jerk of like change and promise, and like this year is going to be the year, and like it never is, like, it's like, and that's why I'm trying to like not be as dramatic with myself, like, it's, I think, because people see, and this might be a little dated too, but this whole people posting things on like social media, like, just, I don't know how much of a phenomenon this is, but like, ooh, I'm a dad, or this means this. I'm a dad, and I definitely identify with this of like, I'm so, tough minded, and if you're going out with my daughter, you better watch out, like that kind of level of just basic kind of virtue signaling, I guess, to kind of regurgitate an old term. It's probably dead by now, but yeah, it's like these people that are just kind of using, social media to kind of put out this thing of like, ooh, like, I'm a, like something that they relate to, like something like I'm, ride or die stuff. It's like simple to do, but it's more like stuff like, I'm such a warrior, or like stuff like I'm a Christian warrior. Like they have to invigorate, they have to um, divine and there's a word for this contrive into their life in some kind of dramatic kind of scheme of like or like intrigue and like a storyline where they are the hero, the hero's journey. Sorry, that's my chair. It's that whole that whole thing again where people can't help but live without they can't live without some myth of themselves being so tougher than they are or smarter than they are or whatever. The right not to be smart. It's okay. Nobody has to pretend to be anything. Like nobody has to. I think honestly, I think the honesty is probably more refreshing in that. But anyway, so yeah, I'm getting kind of tired, but I'm gonna try to kind of rush through. This isn't the right mindset, but stuff that I've heard of myself, of like, as I try to put stuff out there, and mostly it's been positive stuff where it's like people have been saying stuff like, I'd say it's for every like 5 or 6, can't put a number on it, but it's like every maybe even 10 people that say something pretty nice or insightful, constructive feedback, even if it's out of the kindness of their hearts. There's somebody who kind of has something to say that's just really negative and or not constructive and even in that sense, but just kind of like very just kind of like I don't know, not helpful at all. But I'm trying not to really get those people to get on my nerves too much, but but like I think the main thing is like and of course I'm going to change throughout the years, and I've been doing and my everybody's priorities change frequently, I'd say. And for me it's like the main thing is like I don't know, I just like I've only gotten more in love with music, and I've gotten more kind of like the more I go down the rabbit hole of stuff and like how far that's gone, and the more I've just found very interesting niche bands and stuff that have even less views than some of my videos, which is like actually because I'm still in the kind of the bottom layer of YouTube. But it's stuff where it's like very, and part of me would like to do stuff like do like like a musician reacts, but I actually really have an issue with those videos though, where it's like so and so reacts to something, where it's like I think the main draw is that in reacting to something like you're like people already have kind of a like they have a pre conception about what that looks like, and it's like it's just going to be somebody reflexively sitting there reacting and being like, whoa man, that that song by like Jeff Buckley or whatever, like I like Jeff Buckley or whatever, I like his I like him, he's not for everybody, I get that, but yeah, it's just like something like that where it's like like something like like like. And this is the problem with the YouTube algorithm, because it pushes these people out there, and it's like it just pushes out stuff that we don't like. It pushes out stuff like I don't know, awful horrible dermatologist related videos that I hate, or chiropractor videos, which are even more creepy, because it actually people that are getting like the treatment of like just like really just like it's just like that there's an implicit reason, not explicit reason actually, that why people are clicking on that, and it invigorates me that YouTube is fine with that. He's like, oh well, who cares if the girl's underage or whatever, just weird stuff that YouTube is like. But I try to use them as a tool where I try to kind of filter out. I try to only use it for like like stuff like I don't know, without being too like I mean, it's hard not to ignore things like, but anyway, but I would like to do stuff for like me reacting to certain things, like I don't know, like a song that really, kind of I liked or something like I don't know, like part of me would like to give shout out to people like this artist Naum, I think Naum. I found out less than a year ago, I think. Yeah. Comments probably still there. I don't know. I think normally. But yeah, I mean, she has and I still gotta get rid of these ads sometime. But another thing, it's like, if you want to get rid of these ads, you have to pay money, and that's kind of the thing. It's like, and I won't lie, in the back of my head, every time I have one of those things, it's always going to be, I'm always thinking like, it's like even just for silence, you have to pay money for people to get away. Anyway, but yeah, so it's like, obviously I don't have the audio here, but like she's an artist out there, 300 or 600 views. That's very sad. Maybe she has more on Spotify, but I know a lot of artists have taken to, canceling or, kind of just kind of flocking away or migrating off Spotify to different places. Just because of the whole, like kind of Joe Rogan kind of thing. But anyway, but yeah, so I would love to do stuff like that, but then there's also stuff like one of the comments I got was literally, I could read, but I don't want to give I don't want to give a negative kind of shout out to the person and be like, oh, this person's harass them for saying those things. But they said something effective like, something like, and it's just one person, so, but I've heard people say my voice sounds horrible, my voice just sounds horrible. I don't like my voice either. Hey, I don't like me either. And I could jump on the whole thing with hey, this one emo band that says I would effing hate me too, I hate me too, or whatever the heck that band is that Fantano completely trashed. I don't know if it's the same one that was throwing guitars into the audience, just clearly harming people. Yeah, the reason I'm not big on any kind of emo type of stuff, because a lot of it's it's not even emo in the 90s. This is weird. I literally listened to this band, I don't even know what the name of it. It was called something, and I'm not even this kind of emo, I'm not super big on. It's I always thought it was a slowcore or whatever. But I think I saved it somewhere in a playlist. It's but I thought it was going to be something what's slowcore. Post-punk is another thing. I think Sigur Rós, I think, is slow post-rock. Post-rock, that's the name. Travis, Sigur Rós, but I think J. June, yeah. And I thought that was for sure, but then I looked up more. I'm trying to get more into stuff that happened way beyond my thing, Fugazi, I was kind of thinking, oh, they're hard rock, they're alternative or whatever, but then I listened to another album, or one of their albums, in full. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get a taste of it, all these bands, and to at least an album, whether it's Steely Dan, a 70s band, or the only bands I really don't like are the classic rock kind of cycle stuff that's been perpetrated so long since I was I want to say ever since my parents introduced me to, say, the Eagles, Hotel California, when I was 13, 14, or 15 or whatever, that around that time. Ever since that, and then Kansas, shortly followed by Kansas stuff, or even Styx. As when you're smiling with me. I've only played this on piano, so it's it's this kind of anthemic kind of marching. Even stands like that, I can't really listen to it. Every once in a while, yes, I'll go back to some of their songs, but I just can't do it. It's just too much. Simon & Garfunkel still Paul Simon stuff. I love his whole discography up until 7 songs. I'm sorry, I butchered that. 7 songs, but it's a very elaborate 33-minute long song, which is kind of why I another reason why I got I kind of already had the idea to do a long kind of song like that. The Polka Dot Smile one, if you look at my stuff, I think it's listed there. Polka Dot Smile. It's a 45-minute laboring, super just. I know I my own worst critic in the sense, but it's a very just laboring long stuff where it just goes on and on and on, where it's I had another one called Fools, which had a Fools and Places. It's there's something like that. It was like something. It was just very long, and I wanted to make it one consecutive long thing, 12 or 13-minute kind of song. And obviously it's not. Nothing I do is like remotely as perfect as I want when I release it. Even that one was like 4 or 5 years ago, and yeah, it's like stuff that some of the stuff I think about, are songs that I'm trying to go back to a kind of simple, back to basics kind of thing, which I guess everybody goes back to, where it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like every chord progression I have to think about. It doesn't have to be like something like this, which is I've been obsessed with in the last few years, 2-3 years maybe, which is like stuff like this, where it's like, it's like. It will have some implicit pattern to it, like some implied, not melody, but implied kind of. It would just be like, minor 7th chord, the top of it, a minor third on top of that, A minor. And I think the first time I heard that was in The Doors, where it was like, I think. Something like that. But yeah, that kind of got me into that. Ooh, what is that? And I heard other bands do it. Radiohead, I think, probably did a lot. Really, interestingly. But then I also heard stuff like this, where it's like Radiohead does the thing where they do like, where it's like, wait, hold up. No, it's like a. I knew this was a piano at one point. No, it was. It's like. Something like that. And yeah, it's like that kind of stuff is like, I find that the most. At first, when I heard that for the radio song, I was like, what is that? It's I thought like Tom York is like, what is he doing there? And it's like, then I was like, oh, I get it. It's like they share a minor, or that they share that A minor, and C sharp minor share a 5th, I think, like. And then it's actually I think it's one way of doing it is A major 7, but like to add that C sharp, it just sounds like more. It could be, you could do that over, I guess. 3rd in the bass, I guess. Tension. It creates a tension. It's like. So, but yeah, stuff like that I just find way more interesting than, say, just your average. It's not today Tracy Chapman, I just accidentally played her thing because I heard something by her on the other day. I was like, she has a really distinct style, and she's able to. Those chords work. I remember I was like, man, I like that. How that when I was like a teenager trying to pick up guitar and trying to learn that song. I think it was it was just it was just challenging to keep me interested enough, but not so much so that it kind of dissuaded me from learning it. So it's like. But then there's other songs like have interesting things like. I guess it's another Radiohead thing. But yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, so the comment said something like, "Oh, we're like you and I are like because you have a problem with like you think that to you this sounds good, like this cover sounds good, like this cover that you did of, something like by Sufjan Stevens or something, I think it was, and that is because that you might think, but I assure you, to other people, you see how many times I've read this as I've heard it, to other people, he says, or they says, I can't remember, this sounds like it's not good. It's not, to other people, this probably sounds like shit, whatever. He didn't say that word, obviously, but he was just like, it just like sounded really like, what? Who are you? Like, what is this? Do I know this person? It sounded, it was like really just like hitting me at this weird place. And then I realized, the person was saying continuously saying, finally getting this off my back because I'm just whatever. So then the person starts saying like, if you practice for 6 hours a day, that I'm not gonna let you get away with being just good enough. Like, you have to practice. Like, what are you, my high school coach? Like, what is this? Like, I love playing music, but if I played 6 hours a day, if I played 4 hours a day, I would kill myself. No, I'm not saying that. I'm obviously being hyperbolic, but I would hate guitar if I just like had to force myself to do like only scales or something like. I mean, I took classes when I was a kid. You can tell I'm not really, like, even that, like, I've been playing for so long since I was, but I've not purposely, but I've never been good on like guitar solos. Maybe on electric guitar. I'm gonna get a new electric guitar. Another thing. But I'm more interested in shapes. Like, I think in shapes and like geometrical patterns and stuff, which is weird because I'm horrible at math. But I think in like, okay, so I'm thinking about like relationships to things, like now something off the top of my head, or stuff like that. Like, I've heard that so many times. Like, one of my favorite chords, even after it being one of the first chords I heard, kind of open, kind of suspended second, kind of, or suspended fourth kind of thing. Along with this, there's like a Kurt Weill song that I still want to kind of cover. It's like, it was so something like that has kind of simple shapes and stuff. There's different ways you can play, but it's like the picking patterns, like first like 3, it's like through. Kind of like short chord changes. Stuff like that. But yeah, so that kind of stuff is like, something that I probably, the biggest thing is me singing while playing that at the same time. It's like a big thing. So I've yet to cover a thing like that, even though I kind of learned the basic chords at least a year ago. So I think the thing I'm just trying not to be too much of a standard. But even if I did, I think an hour is reasonable, I think, every day. And I that's why I never want to ever approach music and tell people, even if I feel like I've got the right. And this person was saying like, oh, like if you get a vocal coach and like if you spend whatever, if you just get a vocal coach, you will be good. You will go from mediocre to stellar, just absolutely fantastic. And I'm like, what is this? Like, looking at the YouTube channel, and it was a bunch of stuff. I don't know. Again, no need to harass them or anything like that. Gall me to think that anybody would actually watch this video, even at this point. It is basically, and I should probably live stream this too, but I don't think anybody's watching because I don't have a big enough audience. I don't think, but yeah, I think, but the stuff he was talking about, he was a part of a thing kind of like reacting to different other musicians and stuff, the reacting sphere and stuff, and had some of their own music as well. And I can't remember if it was a couple that were in the channel or what, but it was like basically this, most of the videos I just saw this guy like reacting to stuff like Ren or whatever, and then I heard, I was like, who's Ren? And then I looked up Ren, and it's just like some English singer-songwriter guy who does rap as well, and kind of experiments in different genres, and it just seemed like how many different, and this guy was making reaction videos to that, along with a slew of different people, of like, therapist reacts to Ren Gill, I think the name is the Ren Gill, I think Ren Gill. I don't know. I mean, the guy Ren seems like a nice guy, like authentic, I guess. But his whole playing style is just very, just kind of like pretty, or just nothing wrong with like. There's not really much change. Just kind of, see. The problem was that like there's a song that everybody's like completely losing their minds over, all these reaction to tubers or whatever, and it's like something by Ren and Chinchilla where they're like singing. It's like something like I forgot how to be me, or like and like people are just losing their minds out. I'm just thinking like, am I like the odd one? What is so great about this? Like, I mean, respect for the artist for not being. For being, a decent amount years old. I think, like, the guy's born in 1991, I think, Ren. So he's, like, 34, 33, whatever. And he's been probably doing that, tons of tons of busking and doing this and stuff. And I've like I said, the short burst, like, I've done busking and tiny little things. I've never fully put myself out there. So props to him for doing that. But, like, I'm just thinking, like, is this... like, what is so great about, just like something like that. I'm not trying to like denigrate the song for being simple. It's just like excuse me, my voice. It should be said, not just an excuse, but I wish I could sing that high. But the job I work, I think I am allergic to the shit that I work with. Even the stuff that's non-allergic, I'd still, just the smell of everything, it's just like overwhelming to me. It's just so overwhelming for me, and I can't. Even now, like the sinus shit, it's just like you probably hear me sniffling and stuff. It cramps me up, so I can't really sing. It's another reason I could put that out there and be like, guys, I'm the tortured artist guy that I have my own problems, and like whatever, Ren has mental health problems and stuff. He says he has Lyme disease or whatever, and that's means I have Huntington's disease, and I'm gonna die of that, a slow death, when I'm in my 50s, or and I've already have like tics and stuff. That's probably why. And I was like thinking about making a video that's just like I have Huntington's disease, simple, and just saying that and putting it out there. But I'm not sure how or when or why I'm gonna do it. I just don't feel right yet. Here I am, just kind of casually mentioning it, because that's not the end of the world. It's just a neurological disorder that's like been described as being a mix between ALS, what's the other one? Cerebral palsy, I think. But when it gets bad, it's like it collaborates into these three. It's like cerebral palsy, ALS, and Lou Gehrig's, I think. So it's like it's when it gets really bad. When my dad was dying last year and a half, it was basically, he was like, the food he was eating was like going straight through him, like it was like he was like dying, and like he couldn't, like he was incontinent, and he was going to the bathroom like every freaking like 10 minutes, like when he couldn't, like the food he wasn't absorbing the nutrition, like the neurological thing fucks with your brain so much that it just kind of screws you up. Like it's literally to the point where you can't, like you can't like nourish yourself. So he's wasting away, like and I like watching that. It's like it was like just like really just like fucked up, and I was starting to think it's just like like every time I don't want to use that as like like as a kind of thing of like I don't want to like go around and walk around as if like that knowledge or anything is like makes me better, because then there's people that have been raised up in abusive households, and I wasn't raised up in an abusive household at all. The only thing I think I had certain bouts where my dad would have early onset of the disease. He would do stuff like kind of discipline my sister and I, because we were the youngest. So, and this is probably when he was kind of just showing kind of signs of it, but I didn't know at the time. But he was like showing that when maybe I was like 7 or 8, I think, just kind of dumb kid doing what dumb kids do, obnoxious, and he kind of started twirling us around in circles, both of us, and then until we like swung out, and then threw us across the room, and yeah, it's like hurt pretty bad. I was just like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, just was like out of nowhere. And I think there's other stuff too, like him all of a sudden getting this brute. I mean, he's not a tall guy. He was like, 5'7", 130, 40 pounds, so yeah, he was, when he would get like super like antsy, and like you combine OCD with this as well, and he's like, I don't know like what class of like OCD he had. I'm not sure how bad it was, but he was combined with the Huntington's. It was like, there'd be things he would do when he was like, if you were on the phone for too long, and it was like, the phone, like before I had a cell phone really, when I was a kid, just talking to friends or whatever, and he would just like come out of nowhere and it's like, okay, time's up, and then take the phone. It was just like, just completely just like grabbed out of your hand, like brute strength, like out of nowhere. So it was like kind of freaked me out. But yeah, stuff like that where like, oh, I could use things to write about, but I don't know how to. I don't want to like be like I'm trauma binging, or I'm just talking about stuff for the sake of its own. Because I just said that there are people who literally have probably the worst day of my life, getting either like like getting between getting yelled at by my mom, or getting yelled at, or getting thrown around by my dad. People who have that every day, like, and maybe I don't have any excuse to do that, or like I like to think about Solzhenitsyn in the Gulag, every now and then, or Dostoevsky in labor camps in Siberia, or any kind of horrible ills, and like man can get used to anything. There's still beauty to talk about. There's still sublimity and compassion you can have. And yeah, I'm running kind of out of steam here, but I don't know. I just really want to drill in this fact of like, you know, like that's what I feel like. There's an urgency to the stuff I'm doing. I want to make something. Like I want to do something really good, like really memorable. Like I want to, and when I say that, I'm not trying to be like, ooh, I'm so like, where do I have the goals for people to, the tenacity for people to admit that I want people to, remember me for something. But like, I don't want to, I want to do something worthy of memory, but it doesn't mean it will be remembered. I'm just saying I want to do something ambitious. Excuse me. Like I want to do something. This urgency of like, I don't have a lot of time. Like like, especially if you take into consideration how my job scope, I might be very scattered. I might be doing like, I just want to go to probably do all this stuff with overseas, anything I'm doing overseas, to do that before Huntington's kicks in, because I don't know when it's going to kick in. It could kick in when I don't know. It could be like as early as 35. I've seen people having like really bad tics, but it depends on how many gene repeats you have. And I have, I think, a few less than my dad. I think a couple less. I think he had, the more you have, the earlier and more intense the onset comes in. The more, the more kind of potent the kind of disease, like neurological symptoms will be, and like all that. So I think my dad had 48, and I think I have 46 or 45. And luckily, the only other person in my family is my older sister, the oldest actually. Joanna has, I think, 42. So like, it's like horrible because she has kids. So it's like always like kind of hanging over their head, and her head too, and her husband's head too. It's like just there, just constantly saying like, I'm gonna be here one day, but like I don't know how it's gonna show ourselves. And honestly, I don't even like talking about it because it's like also boring too. Like I don't like talking about like neurological stuff. It's like, if like some people, like I've heard people say, man, just like it could be worse. Like it's like, think about all the people that waste their lives on drugs or something, or like getting drugs and stuff. And like, yeah, like I think about people, and I think about how stupid they feel, like how like selfish and like dumb I think they are for wasting a perfectly good life when they have good genetics. But like I think that's only all the more reason why they feel out of place too. Like they're probably like, man, I had one good chance to like make this life right, and I've fucked it up. So like, what am I gonna do now? Like I have people have it way worse than me. Like I think that's just another thing that depression takes. So like people have anxiety or depression, like I do too, unrelated to Huntington's, I think, because I don't think many people in my family aside from maybe my older brother occasionally has anxiety and stuff. But it's not quite as bad as mine. I have pretty, my depression can get pretty darn bad, and it's just more of an existential thing too. It's not like I know for a fact I have major depressive disorder, or whether my dysthymia or whatever my doctor calls it. And obviously I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, so I'm not sure how accurate they are. I mean, they seem pretty like she knew what she was talking about. She said dysthymia, and it's like periods of depression, like of mood, of like not mood swings, but just periods of like low intent, like very low kind of depressive periods that are kind of inevitable throughout the day. And it's like, I don't know, it just sounds like depression, just kind of light, but it could get like, you know, depending on how certain things worsen it. I know that. I know I'm not doing myself any favors, but overthinking things. And but on the other hand, it feels like that's just kind of like this inherent part of my mind that's like, it's like equipment, or like it's this machinery, I guess, that's like built in. It's like software in my brain that's just like think about things from every single angle. And it's happening all the time. It's happening now, even as I kind of feel like I'm not articulating clearly enough for people. Um, but yeah, I think that's like kind of most of what I wanted to cover. The main thing was just like all these possibilities, and like kind of making clear that yes, I'm aware of what I'm doing. Like I'm aware that there's so many different things. Like it could be, you know, like I know for a fact that the road to fame or anything like that is like completely BS. I think, you know, like I think like any part of you or me or anyone who wants to is putting their self out there in for, you know, to purposefully tease out a future as like a full-time this or full or to be in a band, even if it's like a band you love or like stuff musical you love, like, and not to say that, you know, that certain degrees of fame, like, you know, indie artist fame won't allow you to get um on like just attraction in the world where you're able to at least collaborate with people that you've never been able to collaborate. That's like one thing that I think is a perk of fame. And then the other myriad of other things that Kurt Cobain struggled with, or maybe Chris Cornell or anyone like that, or Chester Bennington, like all, you know, like all these people we that are idolized and everything, and just like I think, I don't know, I think that the main thing is just like not taking it too seriously. Like my fandom, I try to keep my fandom of people, even like if it's a Radiohead, Tommy or Sufjan Stevens or Joanna Newsom or um, Elliot Smith, yeah, or I'm trying to think. I mean, I have like 100 different lists of people on my SoundCloud where I list. It's probably the only third place you can find where I actually list as many influences as I do, and I'd like to do another thing where I just talk about that. But anyway, but yeah, so yeah, stuff like that. Or Tamino too is like he's like kind of come into my kind of consciousness 5-6 years ago, but then I was like listen to some of his other stuff and I was like really really good. But yeah, so basically with yeah, like I try to make my fandom of stuff like not to take it way too seriously, where I'm like ride or die with these artists or whatever. Like I'm just I die for them. It's like I think the best way of showing my appreciation for them is by like occasionally covering stuff like by them, or by making songs that are kind of hidden kind of love songs to them in a way, like just kind of songs of adoration, being like thanks for showing me this, you know, like, you know, like stuff like by choosing a style, that style in a way is like kind of like my way of like thanking them, like making a song that's kind of, I don't know, like Elliott Smith kind of like doing the kind of chord changes that kind of sound similar but not in like a direct rip off, but or things that just channel these different artists, you know, like to show my admiration rather than having to obliquely just like say, or rather than or than to objectly or um to say these things aloud, like anyway, but yeah, so I mean, also trying to do stuff like trying to put out my CDs and stuff, trying to circulate stuff, just kind of the vague hope of like if just, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, it's not like, again, I'm not trying to get, so much traction that I know for a fact that I'll, like, um, regret it later, I guess. And, like, there's so many different avenues in life that I'm trying to think about, of, like, well, if I'm going to do anything now, if I'm going to do anything about my spreading myself, that's the worst thing I am. I'm horrible at advocating for myself, because I don't know. I guess this is a problem that a lot of people have. But I have a really hard time, like, understanding when I'm overselling myself or underselling myself. So I'm like, I like a guitar. I love guitar, but I'm not ever gonna say I'm the best, or I'm not even gonna even say I guess I don't know. But I have my own style of stuff that I'm confident doing, but that I might have mastered better than other people around me. But I don't want to ever say that I'm the best guitarist, because it's like very there. It's a there's subjectivity to it. It's a matter of taste too. So I just get it. Like, and that's why I don't like thrash metal. It's because it's just too much noise for me. It's literally just a matter of, like, almost like a health concern. It's literally just like, it's nuts. I just don't like. It's just don't prefer it. Preference. Yeah. So yeah, it's like a matter of personality, I guess. And the thing with yeah, like, I don't know if I'm underselling myself and saying, wow, maybe I am better at doing piano than I thought, or whatever. Maybe I am better singer than I think. But I think my voice obviously is very flat. Not flat, it's more so, any more than it is sharp. It's pretty much just pitchy in parts that I wish it wasn't. Like, I can sing. I don't have perfect pitch, obviously. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend I do, but I can kind of get my way around where I'm like, oh, oh, lo, do, 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 do. I can probably see that's an E I'm saying, but, like, oh, that was D, so I was a full tone off. Yeah, so I'm not gonna say that I'm the best ever, because I'm not. I would say I can get around with music, and I'm like, just like I can get around with bass guitar. I'm not gonna pretend like I have the chops, like, like Kim Deal, or Flea, even, or whatever. But yeah, I just don't. I don't know. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna try to do a different video where I'm, like, focusing more on the kind of things, and, like. But yeah, I just figured I'd get that out there, and yeah. But I guess that's all I have for today. So thanks for bearing with, if you did bear with me this long. Yeah. Apologies for the length. Again, if you want to, just feel free to listen through on 2 speed or whatever, because that'll probably help you out, or just skip places, and I don't know. We'll see how ambitious I am about putting, like, time stamps on these things, because, like, I'm not sure if I'm ambitious about listening to the whole thing myself. But yeah. So yeah, I guess if you guys want to start a conversation, you can in the comment section. And yeah, this is kind of a mix of music, just kind of life, where I'm at in life, and, like, what I'm thinking about, or, like, what I'm kind of what kind of stage, or, like, different kind of liminal spaces that I feel like I'm on, just on the territorial kind of fringe of doing new things, and then teasing at it, and then all of a sudden, like, kind of weaseling out of it, and then but that's why I like kind of the freelance creativity kind of stuff, and, like, the death knell of it too is also the total, like, the total, like, so much freedom that I'm pained by it, that there's so much Kierkegaardian angst, I guess, or John Paul Sartre's angst, of being free. That there's so many different opportunities, and so many different things I could do, but very seldom do I find the right manner of, like, actually just boots on the ground doing them, like, just going through with them. Like, even that marathon I ran, that was hard. It was, like, one of the hardest physical things I've ever put myself through a couple years ago. But I also remember it being, at least it's all, there's no philosophy to it, aside from, not to literally quote David Arns, but there's no actual, like, philosophy of putting your feet on the ground and just going out there and just running at 26.2 miles. It's just, you work up the wherewithal and like kind of stamina to the point of doing that, and you go on long runs and you kind of taper off, and then it's kind of what all I really remember from it. But yeah, it just there's no method, there's just literally just run, and that's a very beautiful thing. Weirdly enough, I don't know why. I mean, even yesterday going on a little 5K, I guess if I can call it that, was just even that I try to keep up because something about just the body in motion, kineticism, just like putting it in motion, kind of frees up my mind to actually think about things, and it's like actually a good way of thinking about things. I think like Joyce Carol Oates runs, Haruki Murakami runs, yeah. But yeah, I think like, yeah, I don't want to be too kind of in the kind of reactionary thing of just like pointing out people that are like, oh, this person's doing stuff wrong, or this person. But I would like to do a Sam Harris thing where he's like, when he talks about Nietzsche, and when he was talking about Nietzsche on I think it was Sean Carroll he had on, the physicist. I think he's a theoretical physicist. I did listen to a book by him, so I should know this. One of the great courses books was really good. But so much of it went through my in one ear and out the other. But it was engaging though, I gotta say. But I want to say it was Sam Harris and Sean Carroll they were talking about, and someone asked Sam about like Nietzsche, and he was saying like, yeah, Nietzsche's like somebody who's like think about the way he died hugging a horse or something like that. I can't remember the quote. It was like that's like the picture of somebody who's like doesn't have like well-being, or he wasn't in a right place with his mind. He was like really he was really just not a good role model for people. And I'm just thinking like I just want to kind of, because I haven't really seen anybody else kind of point that out, and how like how unerringly badly and how much he taints Nietzsche like that. It's just like so like it's the only thing I can find that actually kind of makes me kind of like not angry and like because then Sam Harris will also listen to his meditations and stuff that are like don't be too quick to react to things, and just like seek things out for the sake of it. But I do find, if in a mindful way, I hope I can kind of come to a conclusion of saying that Sam Harris is wrong about Nietzsche in my estimation. And again, everything I had to caveat saying this is just my experience, my life, my specific kind of opinionated barrages of ramblings and things and stuff that I have no official qualifications on. So that is another thing. I have no qualifications. I'm the most unprofessional person you can imagine when it comes down to like academia. I have no qualifications with them. I just have an outsider's perspective. I think that's like maybe a good thing, because in a way, not to overestimate myself again, but maybe it's like an outsider's perspective. Like you're it's a beginner's mind, I guess, or you're looking at it like, oh, this is interesting, and now I can jump around. I have a kind of hermetic ability to be able to jump around from subject to subject, I guess, in that sense, for what it's worth. But yeah, that's just my 2 a.m. tired, rambling thoughts on the matter. I thought I'd have a lot more energy to go through all the stuff but now now that I've reached my kind of net energy, kind of, but like beyond that kind of energy confidence, and who knows, I might have something. People are better judges than I am, because I have so many different kind of convoluted ideas about who I am as a person, and the self is like a like a neuroplasticity kind of thing. So it's always changing, but maybe other people can say, oh, you definitely have chronic fatigue syndrome, because I don't know if I have one, all I know is that I am tired like every day and all the time, and I just don't know. I could have something. It could be a completely circuitous thing, like anfractious, I think. Oh, but that's all I have. So yeah, and I'm for real gonna actually end this. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. If you have.